Hey everyone, still Swimmer again from the IFBB section of the bodybuilding.com forum. Um, just want to do another quick video, hopefully quick, on the 2015 New York Pro for the women's divisions. Um, Again, if anyone wants to do the video on the bikini, go for it because I really don't know what they're looking for. I mean, I know what they're looking for in terms of the criteria, but I mean, doesn't mean I can tell how the judges judge. Whereas with, like, say, bodybuilding, I always have what I like, but there's also, like, if you watch enough shows, you can tell what the judges are looking for and where they're probably going to place people, even if you don't agree. Whereas in bikini, like, I have no clue what the judges are going to do, you know. And it's probably because, like, a lot of the competitors look great. Anyways, India Paulino won. I thought she looked pretty good. I was not honestly not very big fan of India Paulino, but I felt like her physique made improvements here. Her abs were actually visible. I've seen her in a few contests where they just looked washed out completely, and here they actually had a little bit of muscle tone to them, so that's good. And her stage presence stage presence in bikini, just as men's physique, is judged a lot more heavily. You know, it's actually explicitly part of the judging criteria, whereas in other divisions, it's not really part of the criteria, but you kind of, can't help but to take it into account. Whereas in men's physique and women's bikini, it's explicitly part of the criteria. And India Paulino has great stage presence. And what you call it? Women's figure, Latoria Watts won. I mean, that's to me, that's like the picture of what women's figure should look like. But her structure is crazy. That's just genetics right there. Her waist is teeny tiny. See me like you think it's gonna disappear if if you look away, you come back, it might be gone. Her waist is so small, and the hourglass, X frame, whatever you want to call it, she's got it. Cap shoulders, tiny waist, good quad sweep. Glutes are round. She's got the black girl booty. But anyways, I definitely felt like she was the clear winner from what little pictures and video I saw. Um, Man, standing by herself, she looks like Miss Figure Olympia. It's only like when she gets onto that stage at the Olympia, then you can start being a little bit more nitpicky because the girls are standing right next to each other. Um, what else? Women's physique, my favorite of the women's divisions. Probably my favorite division out of all of them, to be honest. But anyways, uh, Michelle Cummings wins. She actually came down from female bodybuilding, and I was like, man, the name sounds so familiar. And when they said it, I was like, what? She used to be a bodybuilder. And then I was like, oh yeah, I saw her in some of the other shows. And I remember seeing her as a bodybuilder, not in person, but in videos, where she was in contest shape, and she was definitely a bit bigger. But even then, like, she was not as big as the other bodybuilders, and she definitely needed to add more size to be competitive in that division. So she brought her size down a little bit, and I felt like she fits perfectly in here for physique. Um, some of the girls were a little bit big, but I felt like the top placings were spot on. Uh, Jennifer Hernandez was there. Let me check really quick on what the other was. It Gloria Falls? Oh, sorry, is that Falls? Yeah, Gloria Falls was second place. Actually, here, I'm just taking a quick look at the pictures. Yeah, she looked good. Um, Michelle Cummings had great flow, definitely a balance to her physique. Um, One of the top girls, I think sixth place. I know I'm kind of bouncing around in placings right now, but yeah. But there's a reason why I'm getting to this right now. Fabiola Boulanger, she was definitely one of the bigger girls. She looked bodybuilderish, a little wide in the waist, but definitely posed well to hide that. And round, full muscle bellies, round glutes. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? I know I can't be the only one who who looks at that on the female physiques. But anyways, um, yeah, she was definitely bigger though. She was kind of bodybuilderish. Tammy Marie was in fourth place. Um, I would have had her a little bit higher, but personally, she was almost, to me, looked maybe a little too lean for physique. So maybe they marked her down for that. I don't know. Um, because she was like on the edge, to me, on the edge of being too lean. Again, for physique. If it was bodybuilding, I would have been like, okay, maybe a little bit tighter. you know, because they're different divisions, different looks that they want to go for. But nevertheless, she carried it well. You know, despite being so lean, you know, a lot of the competitors, especially when they get super lean and dry, their face gets all sucked in and they get that Skeletor look. You know, happens to the guys too, but you know, it's not a very good look for females, especially. But like I said, it applies both to the men and women. Whenever they, you know, get really sucked down and dry, their face gets all shriveled up like a raisin. But Tammy Marie did not have that, so she was really lean, but she still had a healthy looking face. She's a cougar, anyways. But back to the word Michelle Cummings, I felt like was a good representative of the sport, and just kind of to like chime in on stuff that I heard in the RX Muscle wrap up, where Dave Palumbo was saying how women's physique is getting too big and they're getting too bodybuilderish and they're gonna, you know, they risk that. And he was talking to one of the judges, and she said, "No, the judges are doing their best to keep it under control." Blah blah. And I could see where they're both coming from, because a lot of people, you know, will try to make it one or the other, where it's, oh well, the judges just gotta judge based on the criteria to keep it under control. And then other people say, well, it's what the competitors do because the judges can only judge who's there on stage. Really, it's both of those things. So if the judges don't reward the right look, you know, or say they I guess more explicitly, if they reward more and more size, people are going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so competitors would follow along with that. But at the same time, if competitors themselves merely choose to get bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, and you get so much of the group doing it, the judges can only judge what's there. So you're going to end up with bigger physiques, you know, and then that you could end up back into female bodybuilding like that too. So it's both of those things. They both need to be kept in check. Um, because at the end of the day, like imagine this hypothetical scenario if, you know, someone, a girl who's big, you know, like looking like a bodybuilder, and then there's someone who's smaller, but they're totally blocky, they're really soft and smooth, they don't pose well. The bigger person's gonna win, even if they are too big in that scenario. See what I'm saying? Like, so if they're big but they flow well, they have good conditioning, it's not over the top, you know, then the bigger person's gonna win. And what, you know, it's like monkey see, monkey do. The other competitors would be like, oh well, the bigger person won, so therefore I gotta add more size, and you know, and that's not just in bodybuilding. It's in a lot of sports. It's even outside of sports. It's in business too. Like when sometimes people say, "Oh, well, this person made a lot of money and they did that." Well, yeah, but there's a lot of factors that go into play. It's like you're trying to say it's because all of one variable instead of all of the others that played a part in it. You know, so I definitely see where Dave Filoni was coming from with that, but also with the judge. You know, I did feel the judges did a good job of judging women's physique here, because again, Fabiola Boulanger, she looked bodybuilderish and was a little bit blocky, but she placed sixth. She didn't win. She placed sixth. All right, so there. Um, the girls above her in placings were a little smaller than her, right? They're also pretty well conditioned, and they had excellent proportion, balance, symmetry, and float to their physique and good structure with, you know, nice tight waists. So that was a good look. That, in my opinion, right? That's what women's physique's supposed to look like, and that's how the judges judged it. It's kind of like in the Arnold Classic this year, how, you know, Arnold was saying how bodybuilding is getting a little out of hand with the guts and stuff. Well, yeah, but really the only person who was like really really top spot, excuse me, with the gut was um, Branch Warren, in my opinion, or he was real blocky, or Rolly Winkler, but Rolly was like what, six or something like that. I don't even remember. Dexter had a little bit of, you know, gut. Even he's got one nowadays, but you know he did a pretty good job keeping it under control. Most of the top guys had their waist under control, and it's again same thing here with the women's physique. Yes, some of the girls were a little bodybuilderish and a bit big, but they didn't make it to the top spots. The girls in the top spots had that more streamlined look to them, which is good. That's what we want, you know. And if for some people saying, well, it's looking like women's bodybuilding again, like to me, I think women's physique right now is what women's bodybuilding was supposed to be originally. Women's physique right now, to me, looks more like a Corey Everson type of division, which good. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what was missing from female bodybuilding. So it's good that now it has its own division. And but by the same token, I know female bodybuilding doesn't sell a lot of tickets and stuff, but I do think there at least needs to be some female bodybuilding shows, simply because like they were commenting like, again in the RX Muscle wrap up how the judge, even the judge herself, was saying overall the group looked like they were a little bit bigger than in the past. So again, right, we come back to this. If all the girls are getting bigger, well, eventually you're gonna end up with big girls, and you're gonna have to pick a winner, right? So that's why female bodybuilding needs to stay in the IFBB, because if competitors from physique, women's physique, end up getting too big and being bodybuilderish, the judges need to tell them, hey, you know what? You're too big for physique now. Either you scale it back down and you want to stay in physique and you remain competitive, or you go the other route and you add more size and try to go into bodybuilding. They need to tell them that those are your options. Or hey, you can keep competing in physique, but you're not going to do as well. You're going to get marked down because you're too big. You just don't fit the criteria anymore. You don't fit the women's physique look. Even if they're well balanced and proportioned and stuff, you say, well, you are going to have it marked against you for being big. You might still do well, but you're not going to do as well as if you scaled it back in size. You know, and not only would that prevent the women's physique category from the physiques getting too big, it would also, in my opinion, help streamline or keep streamlined the women's bodybuilding physiques. Because if you have women from physique who they say, you know what, I'm at the edge, I'm teeter tottering, I might as well just go full blast and go female bodybuilding. Well, if that's the case, you might get more streamlined physique girls who just added a little bit more size now entering into bodybuilding, and you can have a lot more streamlined physiques in the bodybuilding category. As long as they don't like try to be a female Ronnie Coleman or something or Marcus Rule. You know, they still need to favor aesthetics in female bodybuilding as well, along with the other criteria: size, conditioning, proportion, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, that's my take on it. And so there is this little danger of women's physiques kind of going into bodybuilding, but so far, in my opinion, I think they're doing a good job. The judges are doing a good job of keeping it in check. Uh, the competitors also, but again, there are some competitors who are pushing the envelope in size and being a little, on the bodybuilderish end. And that's all I had to say about that.